Hey guys, I'm Carlos Rossi. I've been riding motorcycles for about 7 years now. Like the most of us, I'm always trying to improve. I'm always trying to learn something every time I go out on the track. So I use a lot of data analysis as well as video analysis to understand about my riding, as well as understanding what other people are doing when it comes to video and watching their videos and watch what they do on the motorcycle. So I'm better prepared for myself on my riding, and also I can help other people too on their riding. So what I'll do today, I'll put a side by side video on the screen of a lap that I did on New Jersey Motorsports Park, the Lightning course. I did two laps actually. One lap on a 600, which was an R6, and a lap on a 1000, riding the R1. So I put them side by side. They basically have the same lap time. They're only about a tenth off from one to the other. So we're gonna compare those two videos. I'm gonna play the two videos, and after that, what I want to do is I'm going to open the Race Studio 3, which is a data analysis software by AIM, and we'll compare those two laps and understand better where the 600 makes its time and where the 1000 makes its time. Obviously, most of us already know the one bike is more powerful than the other, so we can suggest that a big point is acceleration. But we're gonna break it down a little better so we can see on the screen exactly where time is made and hopefully learn something from it. So please share this video. Also like the video so the YouTube algorithm understands what's relevant. Please comment if you have anything to say or in any way that I can improve these videos that I will try to make a lot of more content of. Enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Back here, I already have, as you can see on the computer, I already have the Race Studio 3 opened up. Before we start, hope you guys like the video. Before we start, I wanted just to show up. Before we start, I just wanted to show a couple things about the Race Studio so you understand as well when I'm speaking exactly what I'm referring to. So basically, just on the layout here, you're gonna have here on the bottom left, you're gonna have the track map, and you're gonna see this white little dot going around the track as I move on the timeline. So you see that dot moving too. So every time I say here and here and here, look at the dot to understand what I'm referring to make it easier for you to understand what I'm talking about versus me just saying what corner it is. Okay, so here's the times that we're talking about. The white dot, the white line you're going to be seeing on the GPS channel, GPS speed channel, is going to be the R1, okay, and the red is going to be the R6. So there are similar times, very similar times here, as you can see. Okay, you have a 110.7 and you have 110.8. So just 1/10 off basically Um, it's a fair comparison to a certain extent. Okay, so obviously, as you would expect here in Lightning, you have this long straight. You're coming from much faster speed on the R1 on the braking zone, uh, and then at some point in time, you see that the red line from the R6 meets the braking, the braking zone. So as they're coming into a turn one, they're braking down, the motorcycle, stopping the motorcycle. The braking power on R1 here, in this case, is a little bit superior, but this is one of the things that happens. You're coming from a higher speed, so it becomes a little harder to judge uh, your braking, the rate of your braking. So it's very common to see when you're riding a faster bike, you use the brake a little bit more, and very easy to um, over brake the motorcycle. You see, the R6 will go through this corner at a little bit faster speed at 72 mile an hour at the apex, while the R1 is at a little bit under at 69. Okay, so um, I'll dive into this a little bit later as well. So coming out of the corner, now the R1 with a faster, much faster acceleration, the white line, it's accelerating much faster all the way up to here. Okay, at 115 about. The R6 obviously doesn't accelerate as fast, but it's coming from a higher corner speed. So even though it's not accelerating as fast over here, but on the previous corner, as it was slowing down, it didn't have to slow down as much. At the end of the day, or at the end of the product between braking into corner one and accelerating out of the corner one, they basically time wise they stayed even. They're pretty even. So a faster bike, it's only going to give you a faster time if you don't sacrifice too much of that braking zone and too much of your corner speed. Moving on to corner number two, coming down the hill. There's a hill here that you come down. Turn one is an uphill, and then going turn two is a downhill. You're making a right hand corner into turn two and turn three. Kind of they like combine a little bit. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here so you can see. Um, if you're walking the track, you're gonna think it's two different corners, but at speed they turn into basically one big corner. So going around it, the same thing. The lighter bike on the R6, easier to flick. It just makes it easier to keep a higher corner speed throughout the entire corner two and three, right? Until corner four too, where you see the R1 needs to slow down more than the R6 to stay on course, to stay on line. But it makes it up on its exit on the way out. As it's got on the gas, it makes up that time that it was lost on the mid corner. And the R6 is able to corner a little faster. So coming out of it, it doesn't need all the acceleration than the R1 does, just to make it up for the lack of corner speed. So they're basically here pretty even speeds, a couple mile an hour, which does make a difference. One thing too that I'll mention is that every time you're coming into from a higher speed, so for instance here, we're going to see a lot of this here too. But every time you're coming from a higher speed, it's easier to slow down. The perception of speed, it's easier to manage the perception of speed on a slower bike, because you don't accelerate at a crazy rate like the 1000 does. When you get on the brakes you don't feel like you want to get on the brakes so early on a slower bike. When you're riding an R1 or a faster bike, it just accelerates so fast, your perception is like you're never going to be able to stop the motorcycle. So you have the natural tendency, survival reaction, to just get on the brakes a little earlier. And it's very common to do this, which is over slowing into a corner. So corner number 5 is also a little uphill, and also coming out of it is downhill. It then leads to this long back straight here as a corner 6. It's a very long corner, but you can get on the gas pretty wide. As you can see here, the R1 comes out shooting out of the corner so fast. And it's very easy for you to get just overwhelmed by the speed and naturally maintain your gas hand here. Your throttle hand is a little bit maintained. I don't have for this lap the throttle opening data, but I'll be able to get into this in later episodes I'll be recording. So you just have the tendency to maintain the neutral throttle through here, and then you also the acceleration so great over here that you just get on the brakes a little early sometimes. While the 600, you're coming out of it, it doesn't accelerate as fast, so you're a little bit more comfortable to keep pinned, to keep on the gas. Even surpassing at times the speed that you are coming from the R1. And because it's not so overwhelming, the acceleration, when you're over here under the bridge braking, start to brake here, it's just a little easier for you to brake a little later. And when you brake a little later, there's a lot of time that comes from this, just because you're maintaining your overall speed throughout the remainder of the braking zone. It's just for every feet you're traveling and you're to your braking zone until your lowest corner speed, your lowest point of the corner. The average is just so much greater. For every few feet you're driving, you're riding by, you have a couple mile an hour more. It's not terribly more, but those 3-4 mile an hour accelerating, it does make a big difference. Just so as a matter of comparison, if I was to pin this here and compare this the time, let me just move this here, you would see that this right here, it would be the difference showed right here. Right here. You see the difference alone, it would be 4/10 just on that braking. So yeah, so the difference would be 7/10 just on that braking. Yeah, so it can add up. This is just one little area that we can compare that. But if we were to extend this into a long analysis, we could find time everywhere where you could improve if you were riding the 1000. So coming out of turn 7, which is the left-hander right here, is the same thing. Pretty much is the opposite what turn 6 is over here. It's just to the left while this was to the right. The overwhelming acceleration 1000 just forces you to an extent to maintain the throttle here while you're coming out of a faster corner speed on a 600. You keep easily pinned through here. You don't even feel anything as you're going along, just because it's smoother acceleration. It doesn't accelerate as fast. It's not as hectic as the 600 would be, as the 1000. I'm sorry, would be. So coming into the bow, here on the bow is it's a camber turn. Very easy to keep, higher corner speed, and that's a 600 would shine here too as well, just because it's easier to maintain that corner speed. And through the whole entire remainder of the bowl, you're keeping 1 or 2 mile an hour more than you would naturally on the R1, and that gets you a lot of time here. And coming out of the corner, that's what you saw in the video, that the R1 makes it back a lot of that ground that all throughout the whole lap 600 made in every single corner, here, and back here. The R1 can make it back here. So a bigger bike obviously will make a lot of that time on the straight, but it's, as you could see here, it's not as easy to keep the corner speed up on a bigger bike as it is on the 600, meaning that it doesn't necessarily a bigger bike necessarily means you're going to be faster. If you're moving from a 600 into a 1000, you're going to have a little bit of a harder time to do this, to keep the same corner speed as you would as you naturally would on your 600. So there's two things to consider when you ride one bike versus the other. They make times in different ways. One thing I would say here too, there's little triangles here too that forms the white line you see versus the red line. You can see the 1000 bike typically does have a even if you compare it to faster guys, will have the mid corner speed, the absolute least slowest point of the corner. The 1000 could have a slower speed than the 600, but it's for just a fraction of the time. It would be just the very little, just at the end. It wouldn't be so much from this point of the braking until this point of acceleration where the lines cross again. So this whole entire area, it shouldn't be that long. Obviously, I'm working on trying to improve this as well, but technically you would have to, that point would just be for a little bit, just for a short period of time. The 1000 would have a lower corner speed, so it could accelerate, so the rider could pick the bike up, accelerate out of the corner, and basically take advantage of both aspects, the higher acceleration 1000, and also not lose so much on the mid corner speed. So that was my analysis for the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments, please comment below, and also any questions, you can follow me on Instagram. Also, there's my Facebook right here that you can also connect with me. Please let me know what you think. Share this video. Subscribe to my channel, as I will try to bring more content like this. And I hope to see you guys soon on the next one or on the racetrack. Thanks for watching.